today I'm gonna talk about something that I've experienced, and it is quite an experience. It's called postpartum psychosis. Right, when you hear about psychosis, you think, all the terrible things that are happening, people flying off their handles, like doing things that are unimaginable. But postpartum psychosis for me was a spiritual experience. If you know, right? It is more of an awakening process where you realize things that you haven't realized before, and it has changed my perspective from when I was before the spiritual awakening. I proceed, right? I'm going to talk about the Western pathologizing of medicalization of humanity is pathologizing of humanity. It's like something has gone wrong. We don't think about fever as the body fighting off something. We think about a fever as something to be treated, if that makes sense, right? So what I have is spiritual awakening. So it has come about after I had my kids, Jeremy and Felix, and it was a very interesting period of time where I had to break down in order to break through, if that made sense. And I'm just gonna ramble, okay? I'm not too sure where this is going, but bear with me. I am going to tell about my spiritual awakening / postpartum psychosis, depending on whether you want to view it from an Eastern standpoint of spirituality or Western standpoint of pathologizing events, okay? So I think how it came about was the whole entire sexual assault. Which was really traumatizing, obviously, and the succeeding court case, which kind of made it so that I wanted to invite the sexual assault. Basically, like bloody lawyers, they just are paid to do the dirty work to try to get people who have committed crimes off scot-free, basically. So that's exactly what happened. So after that happened, I was in a really dark place. Well, I was in a dark night of the soul, basically. It was in a really dark place where I couldn't logically reason why this has happened or what it has to teach me. I wasn't sure what lessons I could be learning from it, because it seemed really just horrendous. It was just can you imagine if you were accused of something that you didn't do, and it was in such a huge magnitude that it really insulted your whole entire being? That's exactly what the sexual assault court case was like. They just pretty much told me that I invited it, I wanted it, basically. It wasn't sexual assault. How ridiculous, how traumatizing, and how that is why the legal system is so flawed. It brings trauma to the survivors and it victims blames. It is horrendous. That's the thing. I would recommend anybody who enters the court of law to get your own lawyer, okay? Get your own lawyer. Don't think that things are going to be in your favor. Things are only going to be in a favor for people who pay, okay? That's just how it is. People who pay get off scot-free, okay? People who can pay their way through it, they get off. That's just how it is. And so it was, that was really traumatizing. It was horrendous, and it was just not a good experience to be had. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, let's put it this way, okay? So that was really, I have to tell you about this whole story. And the thing is, I had some issues with my partner, right? Because, when relationships happen, there are issues. There's a group forming theory. I think it was something like a group forming theory. Basically, it goes forming, storming, norming, conforming. So these are the stages that a group goes through in order to get to where they need to be. So I was in the we had formed, my partner and I, we had formed, and we are now storming it out. We are now navigating our differences. We are now talking about how our differences are colliding with each other, and we are now just figuring out where we are different and where we come together. So at this storming stage, we had issues, right? We had a lot of issues, and this contributed to the trauma that I had, that led to the spiritual awakening, right? So all these things that have all these things that have happened have led to a state where I was quite vulnerable, like I was quite down on myself. And the thing is, psychosis, right, it is caused by trauma, it is caused by stress. So the thing is, if you have enough stress on your system, you're going to break. You're going to have a breakdown. And the thing is, with the breakdown, there comes a breakthrough. If you learn and grow from it, this is called post-traumatic growth. And I had post-traumatic growth, don't worry. So this is all good. So I've realized that it is a little bit difficult to keep things in track because there's such a lot of things that have happened. Such a lot of things. So let's see what happened. Basically, our house that we're living in, we were not in a suitable environment for raising kids, basically, as deemed by Child Services. And I was just keeping it together. Like, I was keeping it together, and it was really intense. Like, I think basically my partner, when he found out I was pregnant, he really just freaked out. And I don't know for what reasons. I don't think it's for the reasons that people say that men really freak out about pregnancy. It's like they're not afraid of commitment. He's not afraid of commitment. He's not afraid of like putting in the effort. It's just that he's just freaking out. And then when I had my first son, Jeremy, I had postpartum hemorrhage. So this is actually another, what do you call that? Not side effect, but risk factor for postpartum psychosis, or spiritual awakening as I like to call it, okay? And this is also the same with Felix, my second son. And it was a really challenging situation to be in because when all is said and done, you know, you have postpartum psychosis or spiritual awakening as it is, people don't understand it, you know. Well, when it's happening, like, you don't understand it. I didn't understand it. Like, people didn't understand it. Like, people thought I was doing things that were just out of the norm. And I was like, it makes sense, okay? Because I was responding to a shadow aspect of myself that I was fighting, because it was all the trauma that has been brought up, and I was fighting those things outside, but it was all inside, if that makes sense, okay? So when that happened, it was also a traumatic experience because I was doing something to other people that they didn't understand. So when that happened, it was traumatic for me too. So it's like a cycle of trauma just happening because of the whole entire sexual assault and the whole entire sexual assault court case. It is honestly just horrific, and as well as a postpartum hemorrhage. But I feel that a postpartum hemorrhage can be explained away. I mean, it is something that is natural, like it does happen, but the sexual assault case didn't have to happen, if that makes sense, okay? So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like, you know, I think postpartum psychosis is not spoken about because it's not common. Like, people don't really get it. According to medical statistics, I'm not too sure about how common it is outside of the medical safety net. Like, they don't catch all of the people that have spiritual awakening / postpartum psychosis, and that's just how it is. And but one thing I learned was that it is important to really seek stress relief when you're stressed out. That's one thing, that's the huge takeaway for me, was to really know how to handle my stress. And the thing is, I'm actually a person who handles a lot of stress. Like, I take it in, like I keep it together, I don't let it out, and I handle it on my own. I don't know why or how. It could be how I was brought up. Like, I keep the stress in myself and I just handle it. But the thing is, there comes a point in time where the stress comes out, and that comes about and it causes great change. And that was what it was, and it was spiritual awakening as well, which I am entirely grateful for. Like, I wouldn't have done my tarot readings if this hasn't happened. So this was a wonderful experience on hindsight, but when it was happening, it was utterly confusing. It was deep down like ridiculously ridiculous. It's just ridiculous on hindsight. It's like, what the effing hell is going on, right? But I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad that this has brought me to where I am right now, because it has caused me so much post-traumatic growth. Because I'm a person who is an eternal optimist. I'm a person who believes in growth, and I believe you can grow through what you go through, and you can glow through what you go through. So what else? What other takeaways do I have for this? This is nice. I like doing this. I think this is a very helpful thing to do for people who might experience postpartum psychosis / spiritual awakening. And this is a good thing for people who are experiencing any kind of spiritual awakening, because let's face it, everybody experiences spiritual awakening. It's just that we don't talk about it because it's not understood by the medical community. It's not understood by science. There's a lot of things that science doesn't understand. Oh, what else? Postpartum psychosis has taught me a lot. Like, the spiritual awakening has taught me a lot. Like, obviously, if you're awakening, you're going to grow an immense amount. Like, it's taught me the importance of self-love and self-care. It's so important. I cannot emphasize the importance of self-love and self-care enough for everybody. Like, everybody needs to perform self-love and self-care no matter what. That is the first and foremost thing I think about when I get up. I'm like, am I feeling good? Is this what I want to be? Do I want to do what I want to do? Is this feeling safe? And that is the thing that I think about on a daily, on a minute-by-minute basis. Like, this is why my life is so good. This is why my life is the way I want it to be right here, right now. Like, I don't mean to blow my horn. My life is pretty good. It is pretty cruisy. Like, I've got 2 wonderful kids. They are homeschooled, and they play Roblox much of the whole day. And the thing is, they learn so much from Roblox anyway, so it's a good thing. So self-love and self-care is the utmost priority that anybody listening in should think about. Like, this is important because it helps to keep you safe, sane, and healthy. And what I want people to know about, like, postpartum psychosis and spiritual awakening is that you can't prepare for it. It happens when it happens, okay? And the thing is, stress causes spiritual awakening as well. Like, when a person undergoes a lot of stress, something has to break, right? Something has to crumble, because you can't keep it together for so long. And the thing is, a psyche will eventually not handle what it's given. And when that happens, there comes a breakdown. And the thing is, you don't have to stay in a breakdown period, because you can always have a breakthrough as long as you experience post-traumatic growth. So as long as you learn from it, as long as you take it in, as long as you build upon it and not let it, like, if you're in a hole, right, and someone is shoving sand on you, that is essentially what the spiritual awakening is. It's a spiritual dark night of the soul. Is someone is just like trying to bury you in the ground, right? And the thing is, if you're able to step on the sand or dirt that they're shoveling down on you, you'll be able to rise up. You'll be able to climb your way out. And that is post-traumatic growth. I like that analogy a lot. And the things I've learned a lot, like especially self-love and self-care, I think this has led me to be the more of the person that I am at this moment, right here, right now. This has led me to be happy, fulfilled, and satisfied and content. So I think this is not like an illness per se, but more of a process in which we individuate and we grow into more of a person of who we are. And this is a process of growing up, just growing better, growing to be more of who we are. And I don't blame them. Like, I don't blame like the person who did a sexual assault. I don't blame the lawyer. I don't blame them. Like, it's all part of the process. And the thing is, that's a secret. If you can learn from every experience becomes to your benefit. So yay! So I thank this experience. This is a really helpful experience. It has been painful, but it has led me so much growth and potential that I have realized in myself. So this is really good. But what I want to say about, you know, if you feel like you're experiencing any kinds of spiritual awakening, any kinds of dark night of the soul, any kind of psychosis, or any kind of, you know, losing touch with reality, that sort of thing, hang in there. You're not alone. Hang in there. I know it is a really, you know, 1 in 100 possibility that you come across videos like this when you're going through such a traumatic experience. But if you do, know that this too shall pass. This is something that you can grow through. This is something that you can definitely jump the hurdle on. And I think that's it. This is a really, like, a little bit of my spiritual awakening / postpartum psychosis, and I hope it has been helpful.